she is kind of borrowing things from the playbook of Donald Trump from years past. I mean, the whole, not talking to reporters. I mean, it is a strategic decision, obviously. And in the world where Donald Trump has already done pretty much anything kind of outrageous or anything that would have crossed a boundary before, I mean, she can do that.
Manderson Pooper there at CNN, he's got his finger on the pulse, doesn't he? He figured out that, hey, wait a minute, Kamala can do anything. 'Cause Trump. What more do you need to know? Trump already did stuff. So now Kamala, she doesn't have to do interviews. She doesn't have to have a press conference. She's just the Democrat nominee running for president. The convention is next week in Chicago, Illinois, where who knows what mayhem will take place there. Who can say? The Democrats are doing a heck of a job, aren't they? A heck of a job, depending on what you recognize their mission to be. We continue to be at 888-630-9625. The front page, the cover of the New York Post today. A photograph of mobs of illegal aliens, some wearing masks, some wearing hoodies. New York migrant crisis. Well, the costs will crack an eye-popping $5 billion on shelters and security and free food. It's not really free. It's just that, if you're a legal resident, you pay for it, for the illegal aliens and the gang members and the criminals and so on. So the city of New York is looking at $5 billion to pay for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's open border policies and all the gangs and the murders and the rapes and the kidnappings. So it's all just fine because Democrats like murder and rape. They like more of it at knife point, at gunpoint, kidnapping, whatever you prefer. So $5 billion for shelters and security and food. And furthermore, the New York Post is reporting, based on their city sources, that number could be $10 billion next year. Now, we're already in August. We're about, 4 months away from 2025, and they're saying it could double from $5 billion to $10 billion for 2025. And that's okay because Democrats are in charge. And it's not their money, and it's not their kids being kidnapped and raped and murdered and all that stuff. That's just great stuff in New York City. This is what the Democrats are doing. And it's happening to cities all across America and Chicago. What's it costing in Chicago for the illegal aliens? They're throwing them into airports and to school libraries and school playing fields and schools and kicking the kids out and illegal aliens everywhere. And the Democrats smile like it's a good thing. It's amazing stuff to see. The financial hits from the migrant crisis, the New York Post writes, keep on coming. New York City has likely surpassed, that's past tense already, $5 billion in spending on services for migrants, meaning illegal aliens, including nearly $2 billion alone on housing the scores of new arrivals flooding into the Big Apple, according to city data. Scores? That's only 20 people at a time. The thousands, the hundreds of thousands. The eye-popping figures listed on the city's online asylum seeker funding tracker. They have an asylum seeker funding tracker. You can click on it here. It'll take you to it. Shows the city overall spent $4.88 billion combined through fiscal year 2023 and 2024. Based on the rate of spending, which continues to increase, the city likely exceeded more than $112 million since the start of the new fiscal year beginning July 1st. Why would their fiscal year begin July 1st? Why don't you, let's use the Gregorian calendar together. January 1st to January 1st. How about that? It's been working out very well for a couple thousand years now. Amazing. So it says it has or will soon crack $5 billion. And the Democrat mayor, Eric Adams, who loves crime and criminals, his administration has projected the cost could double, hitting $10 billion, $10 billion over the 3-year period ending June 30th of 2025. So that's, why is it June 30th? This fiscal year stuff, completely ridiculous. You got to hold a gun to their head and say, no, the year begins January 1st. It ends December 31st. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. Speaking of New York and their illegal alien, they should call it a crisis. It's an epidemic. It's a pandemic. We like that word, don't we? Now, the story from Fox News today. NYPD chief, that's your New York Police Department for Democrats listening along, blasts New York City's sanctuary status after illegal immigrant charged in knife-point rape of woman. Well, you got illegal aliens with knives kidnapping women and raping them. Is this the one where the illegal alien had another illegal alien with him who beat up the boyfriend? I think it is, with a pipe while they were kidnapping and raping his girlfriend, because this is what the Democrats want more of, and so this is what you get more of because they're in charge. New York City police officials criticized the Big Apple sanctuary city status after an illegal immigrant allegedly raped a woman at knife point on Sunday. It was Sunday, too. John Chell, NYPD's chief of patrol, weighed in on migrant crime after Angel Davon Bonilla, 24 years old, of Nicaragua, allegedly grabbed a 46-year-old woman and raped her at knife point alongside an accomplice. Chell argued that migrants like Davon Bonilla come to the U.S. not in search of a better life, but to prey on city dwellers, right? People from across the globe, he said, come to New York City in pursuit of a better life, the American dream, he posted on X. However, a small portion have other intentions, pretty big portion, including committing crimes and preying on the people of New York City. Angel Davon Bonilla is one such predator. Now, this is a completely crazy story because Davon Bonilla was released from jail less than 2 months ago. He was thrown in jail after sexually assaulting a different woman. He's an illegal alien in the country illegally who sexually assaulted a woman a couple of months ago, was captured, thrown in jail, and then released, let out, so he could again kidnap at knife point and rape another woman. He was allowed to return to wandering the streets of New York City following his release. Not deported, not kept in jail for a rape, and then he rapes again at knife point, while his illegal alien buddy is beating the boyfriend with a pipe to keep him from intervening on the sexual assault of the 46-year-old woman. Because Democrats, now New York City's sanctuary laws, Democrats, prohibit city agencies from partnering with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, on matters of federal immigration law. So just because he's an illegal alien that's sexually assaulting people in New York City doesn't mean he should be charged with crimes and kept in jail or deported, God forbid, because that would be racist. That's your Democrat Party. Also, separate story, ICE that Kamala Harris wants to defund. ICE fines and arrests Haitian migrant who was released on $500 bond after being charged with raping a child in Massachusetts. Corey Alvarez, 26 years old, is charged with aggravated rape of a 15-year-old girl. And agents, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, have located and arrested a Haitian immigrant who had previously been released. Why was he in jail in the first place? On $500 bond, despite facing a charge of raping a child in Massachusetts. But Democrats say, I know, let's let him go. For nothing at all. Democrats, Kamala Harris worked to raise bond to get criminals who were involved in riots and looting, and there were dozens of murders during the Democrat Party riots. So Kamala Harris, who's running for president, and this is no problem. I mean, this is Willie Horton up the yin-yang. Bring back Willie Horton. We need a new Willie Horton ad because Kamala Harris raised money to bail criminals out that are then put back on the streets to commit crimes again. Time for a new Willie. And Willie Horton ad was completely true, by the way, about Michael Dukakis during the George H.W. Bush days. But never mind that. ICE had issued a detainer on the suspect, Corey Alvarez, but the local sheriff ignored the detainer that ICE issued and released the 26-year-old on a low bail number, $500. A detainer's request by authorities to alert ICE about an individual they believe to be the subject of, is a criminal investigation and subject to deportation, so they can take the individual, the criminal, into federal custody. Alvarez was arrested in a so-called sanctuary city, and the detainer was therefore ignored. And so another rape, another illegal alien, and another Democrat success story, I guess. Just amazing stuff. As part of the Alvarez case for months now, our office has repeatedly asked questions of state and federal officials about specifics and the deportation process. We've received little to no answers. That's a sanctuary city because the Democrats are pro-crime and pro-criminal. Alvarez arrived in June under the parole process for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. They naturally abbreviate it to the CHNV process. And the Biden administration said if you come in illegally from Nicaragua or Venezuela or from Haiti or from Cuba, you're fleeing the commies, then you get a waiver, you get waived right into the country, and you can go ahead and rape all the 15-year-olds you want because the Democrats are on the side of rape. It's amazing. Alvarez charges relate to a March incident. He was accused of raping a 15-year-old girl while staying at a migrant hotel in Massachusetts. So the Democrats will tell you that he was here legally, even though he came in illegally. And then the Democrats said, but because you're from Nicaragua, we're just going to say that you're here legally. Because anybody from Haiti or Nicaragua or Venezuela, you're here legally. Amazing stuff. Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela. And so he came in illegally, and then the Democrats, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, said, now you're here legally. Then he commits a rape, and he's in a sanctuary of a 15-year-old girl whose life has now changed forever. And they give him the opportunity to be bailed out on $500 bond and refuse to hand him over to immigration authorities because they're on the side of crime. They're called Democrats. Also, another story today, illegal immigrant arrested charged with raping woman in New York City. This is a different one. Here's Papa Diop. Papa Diop, P-A-P-A, last name D-I-O-P. Papa Diop, 38 years old, crossed illegally into the United States last year. A law enforcement source said he's from Senegal, which you can't walk from Senegal to the United States. A Senegalese migrant, illegal alien, who entered the United States illegally, has been arrested and charged with raping a woman in New York City, law enforcement sources told Fox News. It's just another illegal alien, another sexual assault, another woman's life upended forever. And why would that be a problem? That's the Democrats don't have an issue with this. Why should you? Honestly, what is the problem? You've got to have some kind of. Yes, sir. I'm telling you. Hey, wait, here it is now. The pretty amazing stuff, I got to say. And the Democrats, they created this. They made this. It's, and I helped. That's Joe Biden should come out with all these rapes and murders and the mayhem. They are really responsible for this. And if we had a news media, or if it were a Republican administration, then it would be a big national story, and it would be the fault of the administration whose policies led to these outcomes. Did you know that the best-selling Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier uses Oxy technology? And Oxy technology helps to quickly destroy a whole lot of different viruses and odors and mold spores and more in your home, in your office. Thousands of 5-star reviews online. It works like a champ. My best girl and I have 2 of them at home. Any smell will vanish in just a few seconds with the thunderstorm being on. Litter boxes, trash cans, dirty diapers, even left-wing protesters are no match for the Eden Pure thunderstorm. The powerful thunderstorm sends out O3 molecules. The O3 molecules seek out and help destroy odors. These molecules even go behind and underneath furniture. Nothing can hide from the thunderstorm. And best of all, you don't have to buy those filters over and over again to replace. You don't have to buy them, spend them, buy them online and schedule a replacement. No, sir. Self-contained. You can hold an Eden Pure thunderstorm in one hand, just like this. Fit your hand like that. And right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. You're going to get 3 units for under $200. So you can put one in your basement, your family room, your kitchen, anywhere you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com. EdenPureDeals.com. Use the discount code CHRIS3, C-H-R-I-S, and the number 3, and you're going to save $200 because you hang out with me. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Yes, sir. Yeah, so this is, these are policy decisions have consequences, lead to results. These are the results. If only we had a news media, what would they say about this?
Nah, hell.
Down. I've got CNN coming up. I've got the New York Times coming. I've got Mailbag coming up. It's Mailbag Day. I have to get in the mailbag. Don't let me just roll over it, Michael. I'm going to blame you. All right. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Bob, calling from Pensacola, Florida. Oh, Bob, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Oh, good morning.
Hey, Bob.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Welcome.
I just wanted to let you know. So I have an old friend of mine, old Vietnam vet, crotchety fellow, loves you, listens to you all the time. I come home last night, he's got you blaring, listening to yesterday's broadcast on repeat, and he's talking to me, and I'm standing there listening to him, and all of a sudden I have no choice but to defend myself on why it's a bad idea to gas the Jews. Because he's listening to you, and he thinks that everything you're saying yesterday about, actually talking about going and invading Europe and getting rid of the French president and all that, he thinks that you've got a great idea, but you just don't take it far enough, and we need to take it to the southern border.
Our southern border. Yeah, well, we should take control of our southern border. I think that'd be a good idea. We ought to be able to agree on it. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to let you know that you are like the worst person I've ever heard, and I can't stand you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very kindly. I appreciate that. Well, I'm sorry that I ran out of time on Bob from Pensacola. I think getting a lot of response here. And I'm unclear on what Bob from Pensacola. I apologize that the clock ran out the way that it did. Very sad. I hope it doesn't remain a mystery for the rest of my life because, every night when I go to sleep, I'm going to be thinking, I can only guess he was being tongue-in-cheek because yesterday, obviously, I wasn't calling for the gassing of the Jews. The Democrats do that. We leave that to the Democrats. That's what they do. I was talking about that Frenchman who wants to trample free speech and was threatening legal action against Elon Musk. And now the left, they're going after it. I want to get to this too. J.K. Rowling and Elon Musk, the target of a lawsuit. It's a shakedown because they both have a lot of money. But I hope to get back to that as well. Right now, let's go back to the phones, Michael, and let's go to Bobby. Not Bob from Pensacola, Florida, but Bobby from Niagara Falls, New York. Far, far away. Bobby, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris. Of course, Niagara Falls, New York is not on the Canadian side. It's on the American side. And we're near Buffalo, which is a democratically run city. But the reason why I called you is that I'm a new listener to your show, and I'm new to you. I'm a blind person, and at this time I don't have a computer, but I get a lot of my news from the Fox News Channel and Newsmax. And what I've noticed about your show, I'm digging it because what I'm noticing about your show is you pack so much news into 3 hours. Plus, you're down to earth and you're funny, so I'm digging your show. But I wanted to ask you one quick question, and that is, so I'm getting your show from the Niagara Falls Buffalo affiliate, 1270 WHLD. Now, they're a Cumulus-owned radio station, and I'm kind of surprised that a big corporation like that would carry conservative talk radio. They just started doing that about 2 years ago. I thought all these big companies were woke, and I guess that's all I have to say for today, Chris.
Well, it turns out that there are a couple, and Cumulus, I am syndicated by Cumulus and Westwood One, their syndication arm, and starting out at a Cumulus station in Washington, D.C., WMAL, where long ago I started on radio, 15, 16 years ago, whenever that was. More than that now, I think. I should probably start counting. But there are a couple of companies, Bobby, that still distribute conservative talk radio because it's incredibly popular. And people love us because we tell the truth, because people are starved for straight-up truth. And also, you got to make fun of all this stuff too, right, Bobby?
Yeah, that's exactly right. But I'm going to be a caller again because usually this time of the day I'm tied up, but I'm going to try to get more free time during this time of the day. So you'll be hearing from me again. And again, I like it that you're down to earth and you're funny, Chris.
Well, wouldn't have it any other way. I'm just a regular American guy, Bobby. I got to tell you, and I'm glad that you've found us on WHLD and Buffalo, and makes me very happy. And I know people who are blind, you said you're blind. Radio is the big thing, right, Simon? Because radio is the coolest for blind people. We've got some great listeners, been around forever here in Washington, who are blind as well, that I've spoken to over the years.
Well, I do radio and TV, but so I get my news from both. But what I wanted to let you know, too, about Buffalo, it is a great sports town, even though it's democratically run.
Sure it is. Sure, you bet. Yeah, you're right. This is probably the greatest show on radio. I think that's what I hear all the time.
Very possibly, yes. Thanks very much, Chris.
I kid. Thank you, Bobby. Have a great Buffalo day. I bet a little global warming is welcome in Buffalo, huh?
Those people are crazy, aren't they, Chris?
Yes, they are. Yeah. I grew up, North Shore of Chicago, and around February, March in Chicago and in Buffalo, you look forward to some global warming. Global warming is good. It'd be nice if the planet were just a couple of degrees warmer, wouldn't it?
Well, actually, I don't mind the cold at all. Don't mind it at all. And the other thing I want to say is the good thing about Buffalo is we've got two sports teams that I really root for, the Bills football and the Sabres hockey. And hopefully someday they'll win championships.
Hopefully someday. Buffalo deserves it. That's for sure. Bobby, thank you.
Chris.
Thank you for the call, and thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. You're a fine person, indeed. Now, let me see. What do we have? We have so many things to get to, don't we? Yes, we do, including the mailbag, because it's Mailbag Day here on the Chris Plante Show, and we have a lot of news too. I still have to get to the New York Times story on Hunter Biden being a crook and Joe Biden being a crook. They just stumbled upon it. If they had listened to my radio show like Bobby, they would have been onto this story years and years ago. But let me get to the mailbag if I can, because today is Wednesday. That means in the Clinton household, it's hump day, and Hillary has to get out of the house early. So that means the Secret Service has to go wake her up, because every Wednesday morning they find her face down in a pool of her own dried vomit on the kitchen floor with an empty 1-gallon cardboard box of cheap New Zealand Chardonnay next to her. Very sad, and they move her along so Bill can get on with business. Know what I'm talking about. All right, mailbag. Connor Owens says, how would you rate this most recent sea cruise? Our sea cruise, we just got back about a week ago. Top 10%, bottom 10%, or somewhere in the middle, Connor Owens says. It's a fun question. We started in Amsterdam. We went to Scotland, 3 stops in Scotland, and beautiful, wonderful Scotland. It was great. Northern Ireland, we went to Belfast, of all places, Belfast. Damn British. And we went to the Isle of Man, which was really cool. And then back to County Cork in Ireland, went to the Blarney Stone. Blarney Stone, always wanted to go there, at least since I saw Ronald Reagan go there when I was very young and he was president. Great stuff, wonderful. And the Isle of Man, where the Bee Gees come from. The Bee Gees, who knew, come from the Isle. They've got a bronze monument, life-size Bee Gees thing at the Isle of Man. We had a great time there in an Irish pub with a bunch of guys who would be fair to say are drinkers. They're drinkers. And boxers too, I know. Throwing punches and drinking beer and a ton of fun. It's a tough call, Connor Owens, I've got to say. I think, the way my best girl and I have been talking about it, I'm going to say top 10%. We had 170 great Americans come along, and I think one or two from other places, from not the United States, but are Americans now, patriotic Americans. And we had great people. We had so many military people, fighter pilots, F-15 pilot, Navy F-18 pilot, and F-14 pilot. Had an old F-4 pilot who graduated to F-16s. Great stuff. We had CIA. We had CIA on board. We had FBI, now retired FBI on board. Wonderful stuff. And great FBI agent, now former, and one of the good guys, Peter Ashu, and it's Peter Ashu is Lebanese American FBI, career FBI, now has a book out, Chasing Shadows, terrorists, gangsters, and bankers, and the Al Capone method. Great stuff. Wonderful book. And all kinds of great people. I got to say, it was a great group of people, 170 people. Michael Piercy and his bride were able to come along for the first time ever on our sea cruise. And then we said the Blarney Stone. And then we went to Wales, and it was the only place that was even a little drizzly. Otherwise, it was, clear skies and sunny the whole time. Wonderful, beautiful stuff. And then down to, Falmouth in the south of England, and then into Southaven to bring us to London. I believe I got most of that right anyway. English-speaking languages mostly, although in Scotland it's a little bit sketchy. But this was a great one, and it's because the people were great, and we had about 40% of the ship with our people. It was great. At the end of the cruise, we keel-hauled a Liberal. That's become a tradition now. We keel-hauled a Liberal and pulled up just the limbs and the ropes. It was barnacles and things like that. It was great. I'd say top 10%. I would, Connor Owens. Next year, Iceland, Reykjavik to Reykjavik, going all the way around counterclockwise. And I'm told you got to sign up for that quick because it's going to sell out quickly. So next summer, Iceland. It'll be warmish, And so thank you, Connor Owens. Lion Wings asks, "Hi, Chris, it's Clayton from Woodbridge." Says, "But your Lion Wings up here. Hang on. When the Department of Education was founded, we were number 1 in education. Now I believe we're 26th. Do you favor getting rid of it and giving that money to the states to be used specifically for education?" I've got to say, Clayton, that the Department of Education has proven to be a prime example of government failure. That if the department was created, I guess in the 1970s, I think the late 1970s, there was HEW, Health, Education, and Welfare. Then you broke off an education department as a standalone and cabinet secretaries and the whole thing. It's obvious that the Department of Education has not accomplished anything good and should be evaporated, dissolved. Give the money to the states for, specifically for education. Sure, let's start with that. Let's discuss that on Capitol Hill. But it's true that the Department of Education has been a disastrous failure. And if their mission is to make education better in the United States, and we should do away with it. That's a fact. Now, if we're going to take the billions of dollars that we currently spend at the Department of Education, why spend it at all? Let the states stop taxing people so much for departments that fail, that produce the opposite of the intended results, presumably. Right? But if we're going to still spend the money, then return it to the states. I think we should stop taxing people so much on tips, for example. And now the Democrats, they're all over that. And at CNN, they think it's a great idea. That's wonderful. Yeah, it's a Trump idea. No, it's our idea, and they lie. It's a new idea. Old Cringe said yesterday. Yeah, definitely end the Department of Education, though. Get rid of it. What to do with the money, we'll discuss that on Capitol Hill. Bo Sox fan in Virginia says, Chris, you are invited to be a guest advisor to the Trump campaign. I'm invited to be a guest advisor to the Trump campaign. What advice would you give to Trump so he can get back his chameleon mojo? Ken Mura in Fairfax. I've got to say, President Trump, focus on the issues that affect Americans, not crowd size, not funny lines about Kamala and joke lines. And I like the joke lines, and your voters like the joke lines. Time to bring more people on board who didn't want to vote for you last time or don't want to vote for you this time. Time to talk about the issues, stick to the issues, slip it a little funny every now and then, but don't give your enemies all of the fodder that they crave every day to attack you, to ridicule you, to not talk about the issues. If you stay focused on the issues, Mr. President, then it's hard for the news media to run off the reservation talking about all this irrelevant stuff. But you can help yourself by not running off the reservation and talking about all this irrelevant stuff yourself and giving them what they want to undermine you. So stick to the economy, the border, crime, war and peace around the world, how much better things were when you were president, and what you're going to do to get gas prices down, interest rates down, people buying houses again, and not taxing everybody to death with 80,000 new IRS agents, and point out that it was Kamala Harris as vice president that went to Capitol Hill to break the tie in the Senate to make sure that the Inflation Reduction Act was passed, and that's where the money was for the IRS. And hiding in there is targeting people's tips. And they literally target, and that's in there. And, talk about the issues, stick to the issues, focus on the issues, because you win on the issues. You win on the issues. And what else? Other advice. Be careful out there. That's more advice because you got shot once already. That doesn't mean they're done. That doesn't mean they're done. Now, so honestly, and I've been hearing a lot about this. So people on the ship, on the sea cruise, and since I got back, hearing from people, can you tell President Trump to just stay focused on the issues and talk about the issues? Because it was so much better when he was president and so much worse under Joe Biden. You can win on the issues. Stick to the issues. TJ says, if you could go back in time, what era would you pick? And what do you see yourself doing? That's kind of fun. I got to say, I think that I might go to the 1970s. I think I'd go to the 1970s. And, and I got to say, in the 1970s, I was a kid, I was a little kid, but and what do I see myself doing? Investing very wisely. Investing very wisely. Go find Bill Gates in a garage and give him $100. I think I would invest very wisely. And honestly, I don't want to go back to World War II. The 1970s, we had the Vietnam War. We were coming out of the 1960s. The 60s, I could have fun in the 60s too. But I think I'd go to the 1970s and I would, be a happy person and I would invest very, very well. Because I know this stuff already, right? Roger Riggins asked, do you think the media will be anxious to report on the break-in in Trump's campaign office in Ashburn, Virginia, as they were in 1972 at the Watergate in Washington, D.C.? I talked about this yesterday, Roger. I'm sure you're aware of that. And I made that comparison. And I say, I don't think they're going to cover this like it's the Watergate break-in of 1972. But there was a break-in at Trump campaign headquarters in Virginia, and the police are investigating. There was one sentence that said the FBI was brought in, but no press conference, no big news, no satellite trucks outside the headquarters with anxious CNN anchors reporting breathlessly about the break-in at the Trump campaign headquarters. Nothing like that. No, the media doesn't do that. The media doesn't do that, Roger. You shoot Congressman Steve Scalise on a baseball field trying to murder the whole Republican baseball team of members of Congress, and the news media made that a half-day story. Half-day story. Democrats self-immolate not, I think, 4 of them now. Democrat suicide attacks, well over a half dozen suicide attacks, including the attack on President Trump recently in Pennsylvania, another suicide attack. Our media is the most corrupt institution in America. Our country would be a very different place if we had a legitimate fourth estate, a legitimate news media. And that's our mailbag. You know that the best-selling Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier uses Oxy technology? Did you know that? That helps quickly destroy a whole lot of viruses, odors, mold spores, and a lot more. 5-star reviews all over the place. It works like a champ. You know it does. Heck yeah. Now, any smell will vanish in just a few seconds with the thunderstorm being on. Smells from litter boxes and dirty diapers and left-wing protesters, no match. The powerful thunderstorm sends out O3 molecules that go underneath furniture, behind furniture, and help destroy odors. Amazing stuff. Nothing can hide from the thunderstorm. And best of all, no filters to buy and replace over and over again like so many other air filters. And right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. You know, you're going to get 3 units for under $200. Put one in your basement, your bedroom, your teenager's room, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com, EdenPureDeals.com, and use the discount code CHRIS3 to save $200. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS and the number 3. Yes, sir. Bam, bam, ba-dum, bam, bam. Busting surfboards. Yes, sir. Yeah, the mailbag. I'm telling you. It's a wacky world out there, isn't it? And I've got CNN fluffing the Kamala campaign, as you might expect. And have you seen the story about the Harris campaign manipulating headlines, changing news headlines online? So when you search for Kamala news stories, the headlines are written by the Harris campaign with the help of the people at Google, because the Democrat Party and their allies are extremely corrupt people. That's coming up.